Is in mourning after more than a dozen American service members were killed during an attack in Afghanistan this morning. Now, Governor Kay Ivey is paying respects here in Alabama. COVID patients at UAB are getting younger and sicker. We hear from a nurse with a look at the front lines of the pandemic. Huntsville City Council votes no on a proposal that would have allowed for immediate termination of city employees convicted of a felony. What swayed their vote? Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dan Schaefer. That proposal came among fallout over the William Darby murder conviction, but one local attorney questioned whether the proposed ordinance would survive a court battle. WAAY 31's Nicole Zadek joins us live from outside City Hall. Nicole, what were the attorney's concerns over the new ordinance?
Local attorney David Knupp specializes in employment law and local governments. Tonight, he told the council members that proposed change to the city's employee handbook would violate a state law, which allows for city employees to receive a disciplinary hearing before termination. Now, last council meeting, Councilmember Francis Akridge introduced the new disciplinary action proposal that would immediately terminate city employees if convicted of a felony. The proposal came after former Huntsville police officer William Darby continued to be paid thousands of taxpayer dollars after his murder conviction, as he was pending a disciplinary hearing. The proposed ordinance stated no disciplinary hearing would be conducted once an employee was convicted of a felony.
The city's existing ordinance says that anyone who is indicted or convicted of an act that would constitute a felony can be terminated. And so that's already in the ordinance. And so as I understand the proposed change, it would simply be that that person, upon conviction, would be terminated without a hearing. And that's not something that we would advise because of that Supreme Court decision.
The council questioned Knupp about different scenarios on when a hearing would need to take place, even asking if it could take place the same day as someone's verdict was read. However, in the end, Knupp said he would not advise the city to enact the ordinance. It then went to a vote where Councilmember Bill Kling originally stood his ground and voted yes. However, he then went back on his vote and voted nay, making it a unanimous decision to not adopt the ordinance. Reporting live in Huntsville, Nicole Zadek, WAAY 31 News.
Thanks, Nicole. Although this ordinance was not adopted, council members did vote to adopt a name change to the Office of Multicultural Affairs. The new office has been in the works for almost a year now. With a unanimous vote, the city council members voted to formally establish the new Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The director of the office will be Kenny Anderson, who's been the Multicultural Affairs Officer since 2013.
I want us to lead. I truly want us to lead. And I want us to be a true example of what people understand DEI to be. And I hope, you talked about a multi-years plan. This is what we're doing today is the beginning. This is the easiest part of the process.
The goal with this change is to create a more inclusive community while ensuring the city's leadership in engaging in open dialogue. 3 minutes after 10 o'clock, not quite so hot today. Yeah, we'll take low 90s over mid 90s any day, I guess. Chief Meteorologist Kate McKenna joins us from the Storm Tracker Weather Center. So how are we looking for the final Friday of August, Kate?
Well, Friday is going to be very similar to what we had today. Temperatures top out in the lower 90s, and we're going to have a morning that starts in the 70s with that isolated storm chance later in the day tomorrow as well. Right now, we're mainly in the 70s. A couple of exceptions here, at least one I can point out to you. 81 degrees in Muscle Shoals, still at 10:03. 77 in Huntsville and Athens and Gunnersville. 75 in Scottsboro. 74 in Fayetteville and Fort Payne. The WAAY 31 Storm Tracker early warning radar network, at least for North Alabama up into Lincoln County, Tennessee. Things are quiet right now. We expect it to stay that way through tonight. So your school day planner looks like this. A little bit of patchy fog still possible in the morning. By the time we get to 10 o'clock, any fog lifts. We'll have lots of sunshine, temperatures in the lower 80s by that point. By 3 o'clock, a high near 90 degrees and a 20% chance for a stray shower or storm. There's the possibility that we could have a lightning delay for Friday night football. For the most part, though, it looks like our games are going to go off without too much of an impact. Now look ahead here past tomorrow. Your rain chances gradually increase up to 60% between Monday and Tuesday. That increase in rain chances towards the beginning of next week is because of this. Tropical Storm Ida, the most recent update just coming in minutes ago from the National Hurricane Center, still has a maximum sustained wind at 40 miles per hour, tracking towards the northwest at 12 miles per hour. I'm going to show you the most recent track from the National Hurricane Center for Ida and how that can impact us and will likely impact us coming up in just a few minutes.
New at 10, 2 people are in the hospital after a wreck involving a motorcycle. It happened in Decatur in the area of Moulton Street and 11th Avenue. Both the motorcyclist and the driver of another vehicle involved were taken to the hospital. We're working to learn their conditions. The city says that wreck is under investigation. New information. President Biden is honoring at least 13 U.S. service members and more than a dozen others wounded in suicide terrorist explosions near the Kabul airport. The Pentagon now blaming ISIS for the attacks, which took place hours after an urgent warning from the U.S. Embassy in Kabul about a terror threat. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has the latest from Washington.
After at least 13 U.S. service members were killed in 2 explosions outside the Kabul airport, President Biden addressing the nation.
The lives we lost today were lives given in the service of liberty, the service of security, the service of others, in the service of America.
And the president with this warning to ISIS-K, which is claiming responsibility for the attack.
To those who carried out this attack, as well as anyone who wishes America harm, know this: we will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
The Pentagon says a number of Afghans also fell victim to this heinous attack. A source tells ABC News one of the explosions was a suicide attack followed by gunfire outside the Abbey Gate. The second explosion was near the Barron Hotel, just a short distance from that same gate.
The attack on the Abbey Gate was followed by a number of ISIS gunmen who opened fire on civilians and military forces.
These devastating images show the wounded on the streets of Kabul. The Kabul Emergency Hospital says it's treating dozens of patients injured in the attack. In a statement to ABC News, a Taliban spokesperson is condemning the gruesome incident. The explosions happening hours after the U.S. Embassy in Kabul warned Americans to leave the airport immediately and to avoid it unless instructed, amid fears of an ISIS-affiliated attack. U.S. officials say there are still evacuations taking place from Kabul. The Pentagon estimates about 1,000 American citizens remain in Afghanistan. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
Here in Alabama, Governor Kay Ivey ordered flags be flown at half-staff in respect for those victims. In a statement, Ivey says the state of Alabama is mourning the loss of those patriots, and she says she's praying for their loved ones. Flags will return to the top of the staff on Monday. New at 10, a young nurse shares stories from the front lines caring for critically sick COVID-19 patients. Anderson Lopez Castillo has worked at UAB Hospital since graduating college 11 months ago. Initially, most of his patients were older. Those patients are becoming younger as the Delta variant surges across Alabama and the country. And Lopez Castillo says it's a cause for concern for him and his coworkers.
There's definitely a little subconscious thought in the back of all of our heads kind of going, that could be us. I've even taken care of healthcare professionals on my floor that were nurses, were respiratory therapists, that kind of thing, that you start wondering, these people were just like me.
More than 2,800 people are hospitalized in Alabama right now. 41 of them are pediatric patients. The Delta variant is putting a strain on Helen Keller Hospital and bringing unprecedented hurdles. The hospital says right now more kids are being treated for the virus, and the hospital's president says there are no open ICU beds left in the state. Smaller hospitals like Helen Keller can't send patients to larger hospitals because there is no space. Doctors say to stop the spread and high hospitalization numbers, more people need to get vaccinated. More North Alabama schools are temporarily moving to virtual learning after a rise in COVID-19 cases. Banks Caudell Elementary School in Decatur will temporarily go virtual starting tomorrow. So will 5 schools in Cullman County, listed on your screen now. Asbury and Brindley Mountain High Schools in Marshall County will start virtual learning Monday. 3 additional Lawrence County schools moved virtual until September 7th. That's on top of 3 that were already in virtual learning. And in Morgan County, Cataica School will move to remote learning next week. The district says it's due to a lack of staff because of COVID. The school is set to reopen September 7th. We are connecting North Alabama with the good works of the region's nonprofits. Tonight, we learn how a Huntsville organization found a way to help veterans even during the pandemic.
It's quiet tonight. Temperatures dropping into the lower 70s by Friday morning. I'm tracking what's in store through the rest of the day tomorrow and the latest on the track from Tropical Storm Ida coming up.
Coverage you can count on. You're watching WAAY 31 News with Dan Schaefer, Chief Meteorologist Kate McKenna, Sports Director Nolan Knight, and the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
North Alabama has a strong military presence and history, and that's why organizations like the Association of the United States Army continue to attract members to its local chapter. In this week's Connecting North Alabama, WAAY 31's Megan Reyna explains how not even a pandemic can slow down its efforts.
I've been a life member for as long as I can remember, for a long time.
For 30 years, Army veteran Matt Mingus served our country and has been a member of AUSA.
Been stationed everywhere from Germany to Alaska, and I can say I never had a bad assignment.
Mingus now serving in a different capacity as a board member for the Redstone Huntsville chapter.
I retired a few years ago and saw this as an opportunity to connect and be a part of a great organization supporting our veterans, our families, active duty alike, and Department of the Army civilians.
The chapter has been around for more than 60 years. President Rhonda Sutton says it's continuing to grow. Those members coming from Birmingham to Huntsville, all the way into some Tennessee counties.
We have a very active chapter. We have over 8,000 members and individual members, and then we have 265 companies that are members of our chapter on a corporate level or a community partnership type relationship.
Like many organizations, community outreach was limited during the pandemic. Many events were canceled or downsized the last year and a half. However, Mingus says they did what they could to help members through COVID, including those at Tutphan State Veterans Home.
Last year, Tutphan needed a way to connect during COVID with families.
The Veterans Home was closed to visitors, so AUSA provided tablets and paid for cell phone service.
Things that they could use to connect with their families on FaceTime or video and all that kind of stuff.
He says that's just one example of how this organization continues to give back.
Any way we could support, that's what we did.
Our chapter and our entire association is to educate, inform, and connect members of the total Army.
Megan Reyna, WAAY 31 News.
Even if you aren't a member of AUSA, you can still support the nonprofit by attending events. AUSA, along with USA Patriots, will host their softball game and tribute night at Toyota Field on September 11th in remembrance of the 20th anniversary of 9/11. The USA Patriots will play against a team made up of local veterans and other service members on Team Bearded Warriors. The state of Alabama awarded 6 grants to help law enforcement efforts and make several communities safer places to live. $140,000 will be spread between Calhoun, Jefferson, and Madison counties. Funds from the U.S. Department of Justice's Project Safe Neighborhoods will support projects to reduce crime across those 3 counties. The Madison County Sheriff's Office says they plan to use the money for new equipment and technology. A new laser scanning technology will allow crime scene processing to be both faster and more accurate.
Weather coverage you can count on with Chief Meteorologist Kate McKenna and the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
It's a nice mild night across North Alabama, quiet as well, and a couple of us are still in the 80s. We're at 81 degrees right now in Florence. Last I checked Muscle Shoals, we were also still in the lower 80s, but it's 77 in Huntsville, 75 in Decatur, 75 in Scottsboro. The WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network shows that each of our 3 radars are giving us a nice quiet picture tonight. Don't have any rain in your forecast overnight or for the first part of our Friday, so find time to get out and maybe do some exploring around the city and maybe catch some views like this. We've gotten several pictures in the Alabama the Beautiful Facebook group from the Huntsville Botanical Gardens. This is one of them, and a really great shot here. I believe that C. Scott Photography credited for this photograph, saying that this was a lesson in patience. You can see not only this butterfly on this plant, but she's laying her eggs there. Every single one of those little yellow dots there, she's laying eggs on that plant. So if you see views like this, if you like to contribute to us sharing these images, join the Alabama the Beautiful Facebook group. It's over 154,000 members last time I checked that number. And if you do join that group, if you're not a member already, use the hashtag ATBWAAY31, and that way we'll know that you want to share your photos with everybody watching at home. A really lovely view of that zebra longwing butterfly. Tonight we're down to 71 degrees. That's your forecast low. It is one of those situations where we can get a little bit of patchy fog developing by early tomorrow morning, but that lifts fairly quickly. And then we've got another day of sunshine for tomorrow and hot temperatures, but still not as hot as yesterday. Watch as we go through the rest of tonight into tomorrow morning on future radar here. Temperatures lower 70s, mostly clear aside from that patchy fog. And once we get into the afternoon, those clouds start building into a few thunderstorms, but I've only got your rain chance at 20% for tomorrow. I've left it there. I was telling you earlier this evening, if I see better support in the data that I need to bump that up, I'll do that, but I still only really see that isolated storm chance at 6 o'clock, now to 8 o'clock. And as we go through the rest of tomorrow night into Saturday morning, we can still hold on to some of those showers and storms even past sunset for at least a couple of hours, but even then they start to fade, especially past midnight. We'll wake up to a mostly cloudy sky Saturday morning, And by Saturday afternoon, we start to see those showers and thunderstorms redeveloping once we start to get through the second half of the day. So for the time being, I'm thinking that for Friday night football, things are going to be just fine when it comes to the weather, aside from that isolated storm chance. So yes, it is not impossible for a rain or a lightning delay, but I think most of us won't have to deal with that. Kickoff 83 degrees. By halftime, we are at 80, and heading into the fourth quarter, temperatures dropping into the upper 70s. Our game of the week is Austin at Decatur. Here's another update on Tropical Storm Ida. No change here when it comes to the intensity of Ida. Maximum sustained wind at 40 miles per hour, tracking northwest at 12 miles per hour. You'll see that this is kind of lopsided here. Most of our thunderstorm activity is to the east of that center of circulation. Now let me show you what happens here with Ida. This is overlaid with future radar, so you can see the strengthening of the storm to a Category 1 once this moves over those warm waters of the Gulf. And then we still expect Ida to be very close to major hurricane status. That's a high in Category 2 when it makes landfall in Louisiana. There's a lot of uncertainty still with this forecast as far as where exactly Ida will make landfall, but it looks like from the most recent update from the National Hurricane Center that this is going to get very close to North Alabama with that center of circulation. So our big impact right now looks most likely like it's going to at least be rain, over 5 inches of rain possible farther toward the west, lower rainfall totals farther toward the east. 7-day forecast, isolated storms tomorrow, better rain chances as Ida gets closer towards the beginning of next week. You can always listen for your forecast. Fun 92.7.
America's economic recovery going a little better than expected, how much it grew and why it outperformed expectations.
I like your premise.
Test 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10.
New details, the U.S. economy is doing slightly better than what experts first anticipated. According to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, the U.S. gross domestic product, the GDP, grew at a rate of 6.6% between April and June, the second quarters, the best quarterly growth rate since last fall. Banks and financial institutions skyrocketed nearly $54 billion from the spring into early summer. It's a little out of the ordinary, but a piglet is the new mascot at one New York City firehouse in Brooklyn. Penny, the fire pig, is 3 months old, was adopted by a firefighter. Penny spends a lot of her time hanging out with the dad and the other firefighters at Engine 239 in Park Slope. She became somewhat of a local celebrity. You can see why. A lot of people stop by to snap pictures with the little porker and, you know, what else? Feed her snacks.
Nothing better than to gear up for a big game Friday night than with a little Thursday night high school football. Sports coming up next.
And now, sports coverage you can count on with Sports Director Nolan Knight.
Well, hello, and thanks for joining us tonight. Let's begin this Thursday night with some high school football. Multiple area teams in action across North Alabama. Let's jump right in at Alabama A&M. Jag head coach Harold Wells on the sidelines, hoping to coach his team to a win tonight, but that task is easier said than done. Hartzell has a squad this year. Handoff to Armandio Dunnigan, and he sheds a tackle and is in. Hartzell up 2 scores quickly, and they would keep their foot on the gas. This time, John Blackwood back to pass, connects with Eli Tidwell. He's gone. See you later. The Tigers out to a 3-score lead. Then more Blackwood. He's got all day to throw here, and it's a dime to R.J. Gray. What a pitch and catch. Give the big boys up front some credit for that one as the Tigers roll into Huntsville and lead with the big win, 41-0. While it was a showdown as the Brooks Lions traveled to take on the Sheffield Bulldogs, and this one was back and forth. Defensive making some huge plays. Sheffield quarterback Ben Hood kept that one for himself, and then later Isaiah Watson with the big play for Brooks, and that would look like but not so fast. Shed, it looks like we have the wrong script here. This is actually Limestone taking on another team tonight. They were at Clements this evening. West Limestone with a big win over the Clement Colts. A big touchdown there as West Limestone gets a big win, 55-28. Sorry about that one. The Wildcats with a big win there. All right, let's move over now to our game at where the Brooks Lions were taking on the Sheffield Bulldogs as we figure this one out for you. A big touchdown there for the Bulldogs. They would take a big lead into this one early, and then later on, check out this play. It's going to be an interception, one that you will have to watch over and over again. Look at the concentration there to get the interceptions. In the end, though, it's the Brooks Lions who runs away with this one. 34-6, Brooks over Sheffield. All right, how about we talk a little baseball now? The Rocket City Trash Pandas. We're in action on the road tonight, taking on the Biloxi Shuckers. And this evening, they were hoping to get in the win column after they fell last night, 1-0. Let's look at the highlights in this one. Obviously, Trash Pandas looking to play for first place in this North Division. They're trailing 2.5 games coming into the night. They take a 1-0 lead in this one, but in the end, it would be the Shuckers who come away with the victory as they get the win tonight, 6-2, the final from Biloxi. Again, big game Friday night returns. I promise you, tomorrow night will be a little smoother on the highlights than it was tonight. Big wins, though, for some area teams. Dan, back to you.
All right, it's good seeing that interception twice anyway. Loved it. Thanks, Nolan. National Dog Day today. We're celebrating with a few of our favorite station pups. That's my Gracie there at the top of the heap, typical terrier. Louisa, Maisie, Hazel, Harvey, Raider, Lido, so many more. Many of you shared your photos of your dog on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram using the hashtag #WAY2CuteDogs. You can see many of them right now on our website, waytv.com. On National Dog Day, Morgan County K-9 Deputy Juco took a bite out of crime, quite literally. He helped deputies arrest 30-year-old John Hale of Danville. Hale had made threats against law enforcement and had refused to come out of the house. Well, that was no problem for Juco, who quickly found him under the bed and apprehended him, let's say. Hale was taken to the hospital before being booked into the Morgan County Jail on charges including theft, forgery, and more. The Huntsville Animal Shelter is getting in on the celebration of National Dog Day. Through Saturday, the shelter's offering a lowered adoption fee for all of its animals. Furry friends needing a home are spayed, neutered, and microchipped. All they need is their forever home.
And all this praise about dogs. I expect the same treatment when it's National Cat Day. That's all I'm saying here. 7-day forecast looks like this. 20% chance for a shower or a storm for Friday. Saturday and Sunday, rain chances gradually on the increase. And then we're tracking impacts from what is likely going to be Hurricane Ida by the weekend, by the beginning of next week.
Kate, you know cats don't need the recognition. 24/7 coverage you can count on at waytv.com. An hour with Jimmy Kimmel is next. The news is back with Nightline. Have a great night.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4.
And now, sports coverage you can count on with Sports Director Nolan Knight.
All right, let's begin this Thursday evening with some high school football. Multiple areas teams in action across North Alabama. Let's jump right in at Lewis Cruz Stadium. Jag head coach Harold Wells hoping to coach his team to a win tonight, but that task is easier said than done. Hartselle has a squad this year. Hand off to Armandio Dunnigan. He sheds a tackle and is in. Hartselle up 2 scores quickly, and they would keep their foot on the gas. This time, John Blackwood connects with Eli Tidwell. He's gone. See ya. The Tigers out to a 3-score lead. And then more Blackwood. He's got all day to throw here, and it's a dime to R.J. Gray. What a pitch and catch. Give the big boys up front some credit for that one. The Tigers roll into Huntsville and leave with a big win, 41-0. How about this one? It was a Shoals showdown as the Brooks Lions travel to take on the Sheffield Bulldogs, and this one was back and forth. The defense making some huge plays. Sheffield quarterback Ben Hood keeps this one for himself, but the Lions take it away. Isaiah Watson with the big play for Brooks, and they would look to do something with it, but not so fast, says Sheffield. Kyler Mertz has it stripped from his hands. Sheffield with the ball right back, but eventually the Lions would start cooking. Mertz back to pass. He's going to throw a dot to Canute Wood for a Lions touchdown. Brooks takes a lead, and they never give it up. The Lions take this one 34-6 and move to 2-0 on the season. Over at Clements, we jump in with the Colts trailing 34-6, and despite the large deficit, Clements just kept pushing. A keeper from Jaden Gilbert cuts into the margin. They'd go for 2, which makes it a 20-point game, but the Wildcats weren't taking their foot off the gas. Looking to answer back, Colin Patterson sets his sights on Christian Smith, but it's intercepted. Dylan Patrick wants it more. You got to be kidding me. Check out the helmet catch. A nice return, too, and the Wildcats would add on in a big way with the forceful touchdown run by Bradley Smith. That's the nail in the coffin. That's the nail in the coffin in this one as West Limestone takes it 55-28.